One creed would shape the future of the faith. History, what writings disappeared. Truth leaves fingerprints.
There is a difference between God and what men have said about God, between truth and the structures built around truth, between the thing itself and the fingers pointing toward it. That distinction started bothering me a long time ago. I was raised with Jesus presented primarily as the object of worship. But the more honestly I read, especially the direct words attributed to Jesus himself, the more tension I noticed between his teachings and the structures later built around them. When his disciples asked him how to pray, he pointed them toward the Father. He spoke repeatedly about truth, transformation, and the kingdom of God being within you. His teachings felt deeply personal and inward, focused on the direct relationship between the individual and the source itself, not the institution, not the hierarchy, the source. Then I started studying the history surrounding the early church, and what I found there changed the shape of the questions I was asking. Here's what that history actually looked like. For the first 3 centuries after the death of Jesus, Christianity was not a single unified tradition. It was a sprawling, contested collection of communities spread across the Mediterranean world, each carrying its own texts, its own understanding of who Jesus was, and its own sense of what his life and death meant. Some communities understood Jesus primarily as a teacher of wisdom. Others understood him as a divine being who had temporarily taken human form. Others held positions somewhere between those extremes, and the disagreements between them were genuine, deep, and unresolved. Into that fractured landscape came the Emperor Constantine. By the early 4th century, Rome was straining under the weight of its own size, politically fragmented, militarily stretched, and in need of something that could hold a fractured empire together. Constantine, who had converted to Christianity, saw in the new religion a potential source of that unity. But a Christianity divided against itself could not serve that purpose. A Christianity with a single, authoritative, agreed-upon theology could. The Council of Nicaea in 325 AD was convened to produce exactly that. Bishops from across the empire gathered, not in a purely spiritual setting, but under the direct sponsorship of the emperor himself, who attended, presided at times over the proceedings, and had very clear interest in the outcome. What they debated was the nature of Christ, specifically, whether Jesus was of the same substance as God the Father, or of a similar but distinct substance. The question sounds abstract at this distance. At the time, it carried the full weight of imperial politics alongside its theological dimensions. What emerged from Nicaea was declared orthodox. What contradicted it was declared heresy. Bishops who refused to sign the resulting creed were exiled, and the line between divine truth and imperial convenience became very difficult to locate clearly.